off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Greetings, people. We are back for the final recap of season 2 of Ted Lasso. But as you can see, we have a guest here. Well, not really a guest, just someone who isn't normally on the show. AJ, what's up?
What's up, people? I came to rant.
Yeah. Look, we're about to clear the space and just let you do your thing. But first, let's go to D. D, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm ready for AJ's rant because I'm sure we're gonna all agree.
Now, because I normally start the episode with like just general impressions. Tell me what you thought about the episode, yada yada yada. But we have our esteemed guest here, so we'll just start with him first. AJ, give us your rant.
Well, first of all, I want to say I like the episode. While everyone else was hating on, well, not everyone else, but I saw a lot of articles about how this season wasn't as good. It wasn't written as well, and I'm just like, are y'all missing the obvious dad underlying theme of the series of this season? Like, this entire thing has been about father. Well, maybe outside of the Beard episode, but like almost every major subplot of this season has been about someone's dad, be it Ted's father, Jamie's father, like Roy having to be a surrogate father to his niece. Like it's all been about dads.
Mm-hmm.
And
Rebecca's dad, Sam's dad. Everybody's dad.
Yeah, Sam's dad. Like it's Rebecca's dad. Like it's been dads the entire. So I'm like, I wasn't getting that part, but y'all, if you're listening to this, you might see it on YouTube. But if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can't see what my name says, but it says Nate Hate Account. And me and D briefly spoke about this, but number one, Nate is a complete just fucking loser, sniveling little shit. I love that they turned him into a villain because I wasn't expecting it when the season started, and Dee articulated this far better than I could on the timeline. She was saying that, she tries to be, empathetic to people even when they're being unreasonable, but felt nothing for Nate when he was explaining his villain. And I felt the exact same way. Because I'm just like, dude, seriously, you turned into a villain because you're mad that Ted didn't show you enough attention when Ted got you. And the part of the rant that pissed me off was, I earned it. You didn't. You earned what? You were being bullied as the kit manager who couldn't get shit right. And Ted gave you a chance. And now you're saying Ted doesn't. Are you out of your fucking mind, Nate? What is
the answer is yes.
Yeah, clearly. Like he's out of his fucking mind. But I think the thing that irritates me is I know they're going to redeem him. And I feel like that is such a waste. He should not be redeemed. He is an irredeemable character at this point. Most like with Jamie's turn, once you found out about his father, it made sense why he was the way he was. It's like, okay.
And with Jamie was cruel, like in a boyish, very immature, non-calculating, I'm just being a jackass way. Nate is different. Nate is intentionally mean, yes, like on purpose. And I think that part, you remember when they were talking when they had the confessions, when everybody gave their confessions, and he said, I write everything out and then pretend like it's spontaneous. I don't think that just goes for plays. I think that goes for his nastiness too. So that little spiel he gave to Colin about how the other players are artists and he's more of he's painting balloons in a hotel. He probably had that prepared for the day that he knew that it would come to a head. So he's just sitting like in his house, in his loser home, in his loser bedroom, probably writing out these loser bars in his loser notebook.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I he's up there with who's the fucking guy from The Boys? I've already forgotten his fucking name.
No.
Huey. Huey. He's up there with
nothing
Huey.
on him.
Huey's not that bad.
No. Huey's not bad. I just hate Huey. Like,
Oh, you mean as
it's
far
not
as
that Huey's
characters?
a,
Okay.
yeah. Like, as far as my hatred levels, like it's Huey and Nate, like neck and neck. I don't know who I hate more. It's
It's
probably
gotta
Nate.
be Nate. Yeah, it's gotta
Just
be
because
Nate.
Nate be out here spitting, and like I said, that whole speech he gave to Ted was just like, I wish Ted would have told Roy so Roy could have fucked him up. Like, I wish Ted, like, that's the one thing I dislike about Ted is he's too goddamn nice. It's like, yo, you should have fucked Nate up.
That's the difference, and I really appreciate the two because one is nice, one is kind. Nate is the quintessential nice guy, the
Yeah,
one who is nice guys finish last. And why does nobody pay attention to the nice guys? Because you're not. You're
yeah,
just a loser. And I think in his brain, he's, it's not even that he's angry about Ted for ignoring him, which I believe, but I think it's also that Ted is a kind man and his kindness has gotten him places that Nate's niceness could not. And he's not seeing the difference. He can't understand why, well, I'm nice and I'm not getting these things to fall in my lap like Ted is, because he's not seeing the difference in their character.
yeah. That's a very good point.
Yeah, it's almost as if like people say like let's say someone like falls into like a large sum of money and then they start wilding out and they're like, oh, they changed. Like, no, I think you become that person like you've always been the whole time. Because
Mhm.
think about Nate before the Liverpool game when he was going around the locker room. You know, it was framed as a motivational speech, but he was he was mean as hell to everybody. But because we didn't know it at that time, it just came off a certain way. So Nate is now becoming the person he's been all along, and because he has more power, like he's starting to show that more. And AJ, to your point, I definitely thought they would kind of go for the redemption arc here, but I'm glad they stuck with that. Even though I know it's coming later, I'm glad they saw it through and basically had Nate totally betray Ted. And like I told D earlier, like out of all the shit he did, even going to like West Ham, I'm most pissed about him ripping up the believe sign. I don't know why, but I'm
Mhm.
most pissed about that because why'd you do that? But anyway, yeah,
Because it
the
was a symbol of, I think when McAdoo went and touched the sign instead of putting his
mm,
hand in, like you saw Nate looking at that sign in disbelief, like this. None of my genius has gotten through to them, but him just coming in here and taping up a fucking believe sign and
Exactly.
being nice has made the impossible happen and gotten them promoted. And my tactical play, and it's like just the paranoia of you want to blame it on me. No one wants to blame you,
no one
sniveling
wants
little
to.
shit. No one cares about you.
He complained for a good 3 episodes. It may have just been two, but he complained repeatedly about not getting credit and then got paranoid when he actually got it.
Mhm.
That's why I'm like, I I can't. I have nothing for him because nothing Ted can do will convince him of anything else. And I think that was prevalent even in the very beginning because the first thing Ted did when Nate said his speech was apologize. That was the first thing he did. He was like, I'm sorry. Because, and I don't even think it was a like he was placating him or patronizing. I think he really was like, "Oh my bad, I didn't know you felt this way. I wasn't trying to hurt
Mhm.
you." But Ted got his own shit.
Well,
Like
not
Right.
he
only
has
does
a
Ted have his own
whole.
shit, but Ted
You're a
is like
grown man.
naturally trying to help everyone around him. So it was
Mhm.
like Nate was this unrecognized talent, and it's like, okay, boom, I've got you on the coaching staff. Great. Now you see Roy walking around aimlessly. And he's like, okay, yo, now I'm going to turn this and help Roy. Jamie needs help. Like, he's going to all of these different people and trying to get them where they need to be, kind of being a surrogate dad that he didn't have, through when he needed stuff. He's trying to be that for other people. And you just have Nate, who's just ungrateful about the fact he can't recognize that I can't always be the center of attention. I can't always be the prize of, like, I think the one thing I do wish, like, I wish after the whole shit with the kit manager, I wish Beard would have confronted him then.
Me too.
Like Beard,
Mm,
Beard
yeah,
saying
yeah.
like, Beard like saying like, I'll headbutt you right now. I wish Beard would have like would have like put him in a corner and be like, you ever do some shit like that again, I will knock you the fuck out.
I wish somebody would stand up for Will, because that's their job to stand up for Will.
Yeah.
Will works in the organization and he is being intimidated and bullied by a coach, and somebody needs to take up for Will. I have been disappointed.
The same way that Nate was. Like, I understand Beard's role is to be seen and not heard a lot of times, and he doesn't want to like make too many waves, but it's like the same way you got mad at Ted at the end of season 1 for not caring about winning. And you saying it's these men's livelihoods, like you can't. That's the same way he should have been at Nate's neck and been like, "Yo, man, you didn't like this shit when it was happening to you. Who the fuck do you think you are to do some shit like this again?" Or brought it to someone's attention. Bring it to McAdoo's attention. Bring it to Roy's attention. If you don't want to be directly involved, step in and say something, because now it's like, yeah, you know what the fuck happened, but you saw him turning into this monster this entire time, and you didn't say a word. Like, you didn't say a thing to anyone who could have stopped it. You could have stopped it. You tried to say something. But you know damn well all someone like Nate's need is for someone to punch him in the fucking face and he'll fall right back in the line.
He needed, though. Like, he really does need somebody to stuff him in a locker or a laundry bin and to bring him down a couple notches, because it's not the confidence that's the problem. He's arrogant, but he's paranoid. Not confident at all. Yeah, it's paranoia, and it's just sickening.
He's the prime example of confidence being of arrogance being closer to insecurity than it is the confidence, because he's arrogant and he's thinking he's all of these things, but he's paranoid about the fact that Ted's not giving him more attention, and he's mad at the fact that he fucked up and said Wonder Kid instead of Wonderkind. And he's paranoid that if this fails, Ted's going to blame it on him, when nothing about Ted says he will do anything other than take the blame and stand up when it's time. And it's like, seriously, man, like, yeah, nah, I want nothing more than for like Roy to get suspended for like punching Nate's lights out in the middle of their game when he finds out what the fuck happened. Like, I want nothing more than for Roy, and like, because I don't like the Roy and Keeley thing either. Like, I hate romance drama for the sake of romance drama.
We'll get into that because I want to hear your take on it.
Like, I hate it, but I could very easily see a storyline next season where Roy like goes off the hinges with Keeley not being around, and he finds out what Nate did, and he punches them, and it like rips the team apart, and they go through like some mid-season drama because he tries to kill Nate or some shit once I can see some shit like that happen, because it's very obvious. He looked at Nate and thought, "You're not a fucking right. Yeah, you kiss Keeley. It's okay. You're Nate. It's cool. It's fine."
And you know what's wild? Like, Nate should have felt some type of way about that, because he was like, but you're just Nate though. You like, who cares?
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
He like, did feel some kind of way, but he knows that he knows not to try Roy. Like, exactly. Roy has enough intimidation, and he fears Roy. He doesn't fear Ted at all, and that's the difference.
Exactly. Like the same way Roy feared Jamie, knowing what Jamie could mean to his relationship, but Nate is like, that fucking loser.
But I'm glad you said that, because I'm like, we all know that he wasn't intimidated by Nate because Nate's Nate, right? But Nate should have felt, you shouldn't compare yourself to Jamie, because Jamie was in a whole ass relationship with Keeley. So of course he's going to feel a way about that, because they have history. You don't have any history with Keeley, so it could have legit been a mistake.
And do you think Jamie would have had to convince a waitress to give him the front window at a restaurant?
Nah.
Dude who was on TV? Like, women obviously find Jamie attractive. They don't think that about Nate. So it's like, the signs are all there that you're still a loser dweeb who feels the need to wear ridiculous suits out on the pitch for no fucking reason, looking like Jack Del Rio, looking like a complete fucking clown for no reason other than to make yourself feel a suit that Ted bought you. Like, you literally had nothing. You were nothing and nobody before this man's kindness, and you got the nerve to take it out on him because he's forwarding that same kindness to other people just because you're an insecure little twat.
Y'all picked up that he picked the all black, right? The black on black and the black tie. Yeah.
Yep.
Peep that. He went, and it's beautiful because they're really showing his dissension into madness, because with the hair, because, you know, of course I was like, wow, that gray is a choice, but whatever. And then he went from Ted's suit, literal dressing and being like Ted, to trying to be more like Roy. And now I guess he's just gonna be Rupert, which I
Yeah,
hate.
he went
Rupert
Sith
so
Lord.
much.
Yeah.
I hate Rupert so much.
Rupert don't even really bother me as much because like you're just a like after the dart scene, after Ted played him in darts, I was like, okay, yeah, Ted knows him. Ted can knock him down a peg whenever he chooses. It's just Ted chooses not to, which I wish they would lean more into Ted's like being so good at knocking people down a peg. Like the scene, because I love that scene with Rupert, like where he's just in there and he just casually is just boom,
barbecue sauce.
Gotcha.
It's Rebecca though. That's why I hate him, because he's so cruel to her, and he finds joy in making her miserable. And I don't know what she did other than she left him, and that's what it is. Like, how dare you leave me?
Yeah. How dare you leave me?
I still want to see how this Rebecca Sam thing folds out, because like there's no way that doesn't come out next season. And
see, okay, so let's get into that too, because so when
you cutting out
1609. Remember that, AJ, 1609.
Ted turns Rebecca is like, I think that was shit.
Even though you
go back.
You cut out.
Yeah.
Start over.
Yeah. I'll cut it out. But yeah, he's like, I think that was meant for you, even though he was saying it to me. But yeah, Sam says he has to like walk his own journey now. And I found that interesting, because he was like, I can't wait on other people's feelings, or like care about other people's feelings, or yada yada yada. So I'm still holding on to my Ted and Rebecca thing. So, but I'm just wondering, like, that's gonna get pretty nasty. But yeah, I kind of think they gave us an opening for the resolution for the Sam and Rebecca thing right there.
I kind of feel like that can't, like I feel like the Ted and Rebecca thing can't happen though. Like I feel like they've the reason being is because like, I mean, they could easily write it to where Sam wouldn't care, but I would think after the whole shit with Jamie and then turning around, like I feel like Sam might feel away, and it's like I don't know that we want to turn Sam into like a bad guy antagonist, or like, and
Nate.
also. Yeah.
Into Nate, yeah.
And like, and I also kind of feel like I think the Ted and Rebecca thing, like, it loses a little bit of steam if like they do get together. Like I feel like it would take something away from the show if you take away their friendly banter. And
I have a bold prediction about Sam and Rebecca and Ted. I'll save it for the end. It's bold.
Do Ted.
Go it out.
It's bold. All right. So you know how they had the thing where he was like, where he told her, you're developing a habit where you drop a bombshell on me every year around this time. My prediction is that he's either going to quit and like try to go home, or want to go home, and she's going to tell him that she loves the club. She thought that she had fallen in love with the club, but she realizes that the only reason she loved the club is because he was a part of it. Now, I don't think that means she like moves to America or whatever else, but maybe she sells the club. Maybe she does something else, and maybe they are together, or they remain friends, and then her and Sam do whatever it is they do.
We think if Ted goes to the MLS,
I think Ted's leaving, and that's another thing. That's another thing. Nate was wrong as hell for bringing his son into it.
Oh yeah, he should have got his shit.
You
rocked, AJ.
Like rocked. Me personally, if I ain't want to punch him, I'd at least went and told Roy what the fuck. Like, yo, can you believe Nate went to motherfucking the new?
Rocked.
And let one of them.
Since you brought it up, speaking of the news, Trent Krim. I meant to ask last week if we thought that was going to damage his journalistic integrity because he told him, but I'm glad they brought it up.
Trent Krim is now independent.
Look, right. As soon as like Trent said it, I said, "Oh, now Trent Krim is independent." And then Ted goes, "You know what that makes you now?" I was like, "Yes."
Yes. Do you think he'll be a part of the club then? Because Keeley's gone. They need a PR person.
I was going to say either Trent Krim is going to be PR for the club, or he's going to be Ted's biographer.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, because he said he wanted to delve into like deeper stuff. Like I could see him like either trying to do a documentary on Ted,
that'd be cool,
like doing a biography or like something to that effect. Like I think he's going to be around, but I think he finds Ted interesting, and he said he wants to delve into like more interesting things. or something to that effect. Like, I feel like he might try to like get to know, because Ted's become an interesting figure in English soccer. You know, whether people want to admit it or not, like everything he does like ends up becoming news. So I think Trent would try to figure out what it is that makes Ted tick even more so, and not have to do it with the slant that's on soccer, and maybe try to cover the man and find out who he is. But I would love to see like Ted come back to America and like bring some of the team with him.
And with therapy, he's probably okay with giving a little more of himself too. So that actually makes sense. Him being his biographer or documentary or whatever else. I like it. I like it. Because it'll be, I can't think of a better person to do it than Trent, because he actually respects him and he admires him in a way. And he's, from what I could tell, he's actually a good journalist. He's not into just mudslinging or inaccuracies. He'll get the story, but he'll also present it truthfully. So if anybody's going to write about Ted, I would want it to be Trent Krim.
Yeah.
Independent.
Yeah, same.
Also, let me check with something, because when we first started recapping this, I told you that this was like a 3-story arc, 3 seasons, and they were done. But however, we recently got news that they have the rights to Premier League teams now. And now,
I saw that.
And now Bill Lawrence, the showrunner, is saying like, well, even though it was a 3-story arc, we might just wrap up this story, but still like let it continue. So I just say all that to say, like, as we think about like the future of this show, like there might be a resolution to this story, but things might go on elsewhere.
Because I feel like
goes to the MLS, or
I feel like the natural resolution is them getting to the cup final and losing. Like, I feel like that's the natural resolution to this, because
it's gonna hurt.
There's very little like overt success in this show. It's all about like the underlying successes that and Ted's impact on people around him. So I could see, even though they've never won a major, like kind of the same way when whatever the mid-season cup thing was, when they get there and then they end up losing at Wembley. Like, I could very easily see something similar happening, and it being because like and it being to Nate's team, but Nate somehow humbled by it or some shit. Like I could very like, I feel like his redemption is going to be realizing that Ted was right. Or go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it may be, AJ? It may be Rupert's ass. Rupert might be an absolute terror. Like, absolute terror. Like, you don't make mistakes. You don't lose games for my club. You don't do any of this stuff. And puts all the blame on Nate. And then Nate's going to be like, oh shit, what on earth was I thinking? This is a horrible man, not Ted.
You thinking similar to like Jamie and his dad at the end of season 1?
Yeah.
He got like, exactly what he wanted, though. He wanted all the credit.
Yeah, and he's going to get, I think it's going to be all the credit. Well, I take that back. I don't think it's going to be any of the credit. All the blame.
All
because
the blame. Yeah.
The credit is going to be, I hired him. I knew what I was doing. I did this because I knew he was capable. And then when he loses, it's going to be, he's awful. I should have known. Anybody that works under Ted Lasso can't be worth blah, 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 blah.
You know what?
And it's going to be hell.
I'm feeling like what's going to happen is their first matchup of the season, they're going to win. West Ham's going to win in like runaway fashion, and then Nate's going to end up losing somewhere in the season, and he's going to end up getting berated, and then it's similar to Jamie, he's going to get humbled and want to come back around to Ted.
Publicly berated too, I bet.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be embarrassing.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be something like, and I don't feel like that's enough for him. Because again, when we saw Jamie's dad, we realized, oh, you're just a man-child with daddy issues. You're not really a bad person. You just had all this success and nothing to temper it. And then this season, like finding out, about his mom and all that. And it was like, oh, okay, like the whole thing with him and Roy, and, at the game against Manchester, like that whole shit was like, oh, okay, all right. Jamie's not really a bad dude, but Nate, like, nah, man. Even the just spitting in the mirror shit. It's like everything about you is vile. You are a vile creature. Like, you deserve nothing but the worst shit to happen to you.
And I think it's so infuriating, because he could have told Ted how he felt. He could have said, hey, Ted, like, I feel like we're just not clicking. I feel like maybe I've done something to you, or we're just not getting the time we used to have. I feel this way. And there's no part of me that thinks Ted would have been like, well, Nate, I got stuff going on. I don't have time. He would have been like, okay, well, my bad. I didn't realize that you felt this way. I'll do better.
Yeah.
I think he would have, but he just wanted to be mad. It's almost like he wanted to hold on to the anger that he had for Ted instead of resolving it, because he could have.
I don't even know if he wanted to hold on to the anger so much as he wanted to feel that high that he felt when he was checking Twitter after Ted's panic attack. And he felt like, well, I got this shine when Ted was away. So the only way for me to get this is by removing Ted. Like, I think that he focused his anger on Ted because his only high moment came because of Ted's absence. And I think that's why he's fixated on Ted, because he feels like Ted is stopping him somehow. When really it's just, no, you're not. No, there's nothing about you that is likable as a person.
It's not, because if somebody has a panic attack and somebody reveals to you they had a panic attack, if your first thought is to reveal that to the world instead of asking, hey, are you okay? Then you already know what kind of person you are. Clearly.
Exactly. And again, just to bringing up the son shit, like everything about him is vile as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know for me, like, and listeners of this probably don't know my story, but I know if, like, after what I went through a few years ago, if someone said something similar to me, I probably would have shot him. Like, it would have been some pistol play involved. I'm gun butting you, or I'm shooting you. Like, one of the two.
Chitty bang.
like we are in the UK. He would have had to pull like the thing that Liam Neeson was carrying.
The Kosh.
Yeah, the Kosh.
But now I'm getting a billy club and I'm beating you in the kneecaps, man. Like, the fuck are you thinking about? Like, who do you think you are? Bringing some shit like that up, man. Like, nah, man. Like, nah. Nate is a vile piece of shit. Like, he is a sack of excrement. Like, it's like him and then like Jason Whitlock for me. Like, that are just sentient sacks of excrement. Like,
that is a high
like
dishonor.
He's there for me. I had a Whitlock rant prepared for Politics as Usual on Friday. I didn't get to use it, so I brought it.
I had to incorporate it.
I got you.
Hey, man.
but allow me to like just share some like real soccer stuff. Okay. So first of all, I sent you this already. This show does the soccer sequences beautifully, but I was slightly annoyed that Jamie Tartt was actually offsides on the last play. But anyway, I can ignore that. But also, let me show you how much trust Ted has in Nate. Ted has in Nate. So Richmond FC plays with two strikers, Denny Rojas and Jamie Tartt. So Nate wanted to play a false nine, which is the formation in which Lionel Messi basically like blew up the world and scored like hundreds of goals, because what you do is you kind of like push your midfielders forward and you tuck the striker behind it. So he did that with two strikers, which is like absurdly stupid. He was like, oh, we should play a false nine. It wasn't working, but even then Ted said, hey, like I trust this. Let's do it. So the fact that he turns on Ted still at the end, like kind of like both of you said, I have nothing for him. The fact that he put trust in these tactics instead of saying like, hey, let's switch it up, because he had every right to, because it was a dumbass tactic in the first place. But he put that trust in him, and Nate couldn't even accept it when he finally got what he wanted. He wanted that credit, but when he finally received it, he was just like, nah, I'm good.
How do you walk off dejected after your tactic works? It's like you're so invested in this man's downfall that even winning has you pissed. Like, you know how bad of a person you have to be for you to, like, there's only one person in sports that I detest enough to be like, yo, I want this person. I am okay with my team losing because I want you gone that badly. And that's Devontae Graham. Like, outside of that, it's like, I didn't like Shea Patterson, but I knew Shea Patterson would leave eventually. I don't like Jim Harbaugh, but I know Jim Harbaugh is going to do something stupid and I'll be able to put on my Charles Woodson, Michigan jersey again. But Devontae Graham, because of old cheese eyes, and his ineptitude sometimes in the front office, I just had a feeling they was going to give him $70 million, and thank God they traded him. But I was rooting for that man's downfall, and I was okay if the Hornets were trash because it got him about the paint. But I don't coach the Hornets. I can't say that if I'm making six figures as a Hornets assistant coach that I would be rooting on Devontae Graham to fail simply because I want him off my team. Like, fuck it. Yeah, he did good. Cool. I'm collecting my check.
Nate wanted him to lose because they rallied around Ted at the end with that believe sign. Like, seriously, when they touched the believe sign, he was like, they have to lose now because this is going to feel like the catapult instead of my strategy. So once again, it's Ted. But
the extension of that, is changing the tactics at halftime. It doesn't work, and then Nate feeling that gratification because they changed the tactics. Like he at that point he was like, I don't want.
He was moving the goalposts regardless. He was going to find a reason to blame Ted because at that point it wasn't about anything other than trying to make Ted look bad. And that's like the depths of paranoia you have to feel, and the depths of just not being right in the head you have to be to constantly just see the bad and find a way to make it bad. Like, he's in a very bad space, but I don't feel bad for him because you're there for no fucking reason.
You put yourself there.
Like, you at the start of the first season, you dreamed of nothing more than to be able to sit on the pitch and call plays and to be respected by these men. And you got all that. And now you're mad because you tasted a little bit of success and you don't have the charisma that, like, yeah, the whole nice guy analogy is like the perfect thing for it because, like, well, why do you keep liking all the bad boys? It's not that they like bad boys; they like motherfuckers that are confident and true to themselves. And you're
like losers.
You're don't like your swaggerless ass. That's what it is.
There was one moment, like, because
Nate's the worst kind of dirty Mac.
He is. There was one moment where I was like, oh, okay, Ted, that was cruel. And it was when Nate wanted to talk to McAdoo and Ted laughed at him. I was like, okay, that was kind of mean. Because, you know, he was we need a big dog. And Nate was like, well, I'll do it. And Ted, like, laughed, but I did too.
I mean, because you think McAdoo's finna respect Nate? McAdoo was bullying Nate at the start of last season. What the fuck can Nate tell him?
Exactly. And that's another point they need to bring up because without Ted, he would still be bullying him. Ted didn't step in to say, hey, don't bully him because of his thought of I can't be the one because they're still going to do it. They're just not going to do it around me. It has to be somebody else. That didn't start once Ted got there. They've been bullying Nate forever. Roy has seen them probably, or Roy didn't pay attention because nobody paid attention to Nate. So without Ted bringing you up and making people realize that you are a human being, none of this happens, which is, again, why I have nothing.
You know what's wild? Like the whole thing about Nate being invisible, they made it a point to make Will invisible all this season. You only see him like in the aftermath of shit. And like on one hand, it's funny, but on the other hand, it's like, yo, this is pretty fucked up. Like this dude is like, no one sees him until there's like some awkward moment happening. Like people,
and he's okay with it. He's just chilling.
Yeah, he's a good, but like at some point, it's like I hope that they like fully bring that around like into the next season. That like, you know, now that Ted has been able to come to grips with some of his things, even though he's still dealing with a lot. Like maybe now he kind of looks up and is like, oh shit, man, we've really been neglecting this dude Will, and he's been a champ about it, super duper nice. Like we need to do something. Like I hope they don't retread the Nate thing and try to like make him a coach, but I do hope they like recognize him and try to make him like more a part of the team because it really is messed up that the only time he's there is when something awkward or fucked up is happening. Like he just kind of pops in, is like, I'm sorry, I froze when you guys came in, or he walks in and they're smoking and he's like, like,
why are y'all here?
Like I don't know what to do here.
Okay, we got to talk about something else because we're going to talk about Nate for the whole episode if we don't.
Yeah, so before we transition, let me actually ask y'all something. Have y'all ever paid any attention to the books that Beard is reading every episode?
No, I haven't.
So the book he's reading in that episode is a major theme of that episode. So in this episode, he was reading the Inverted Triangle of Success. The Triangle of Success is John Wooden's, you know, game plan to basically like how to be successful as a coach and in life, yada yada yada. 3 of the pillars of the lower triangle, the lower pyramid, friendship, loyalty, cooperation. So just want to toss that out there. So to invert that pyramid is to have those things first and foremost. But yeah, so
you saw Nate staring at it too, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all pick that
I
up?
did see that.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So
L7 Weenie, Oscar Mayer, Foot Long, Dodger Dog.
Oh, I hate
Sorry
you so much.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Sandlot call back there. If you've never seen that.
So yeah, where did y'all think Sam was going to leave?
I did.
Nope.
I did. Well, I did until they told him to look for a sign and he saw people wearing his jersey. I figured he'd stay after that. But I thought he was going to leave because I thought that's what they were going to use to wrap up his storyline with Rebecca.
I thought that him leaving would have only been so that he could responsibly pursue a relationship with Rebecca. Because the tabloid part of it is like that coming out is not going to look good. Like she's double his age. She's only 21. Like there's so many power dynamics there that would make that look. And Rupert would try his best to make it look a way. So I felt like him leaving would only be his way of protecting Rebecca to say, well, nah, we pursued this after we knew I was leaving, blah, 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 blah. Now that he's staying, I'm kind of cringing at the thought of what the storyline could potentially be.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, this ain't really the show I want to have, like, tackle, nothing like that. Like, that and the Keeley Roy thing are both for me just kind of like, are we really going to do this, guys?
We got to get into that, too. I really, really like when Edwin lost his shit. That was hilarious.
That was fun.
I loved it. Like, he went
the handshake
berserk.
Thing, the handshake thing, that shit took me the fuck out.
Like, he really lost it. And I honestly was sitting there looking at him like, maybe this is going to be one of those things where he's freaking out and he's going to be like, I'm just kidding. Good luck. But no,
he was dead ass.
Look, he called this man a medium talent. Medium talent.
Medium.
But
you just tried to recruit me. You have closed a museum. You bought a museum, excuse me. You bought a building and made it a restaurant, and I'm a medium talent. Come on, man. And Sam was just kind of like, yeah, man, get it out.
I think that was the confirmation he needed that he made the right choice. So yeah,
it was the confirmation I needed because I was like, could you imagine him having to deal with that once he's on the team? Because once he's done courting you, his true colors, of course, will reveal themselves. And he really did show him. It was hilarious. Like he is really losing it.
He was pooping on the bed again.
Yeah. Poop, 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 poop. Beautiful.
That shit was hilarious.
Jam up job. I loved it. What is going to be so you think, I know you said you think there's going to be like their relationship is going to come out. You think that's what's going to happen? Like who's going to know? Because Keeley knows. And that's kind of it, right? And her mom, Sassy.
Ted.
And Ted. So who's gonna say something, or how's it gonna get out? Unless, like Ronnie suggested, somebody got a paparazzi picture somewhere hidden, and they just gonna
That's what I'm thinking.
Put them out when they
I'm thinking,
feel like it.
I'm thinking Rupert has been paying someone to follow her around and eventually figures it out.
That wouldn't be surprising at all.
And he's just waiting for the right time, like before the game or, something to drop that. And again, like they bring it, like they have issues happen and then they kind of like casually write it away. Like the whole sponsorship thing that was neatly done away with the banter thing. So, I mean, they have ways of tucking stuff away. Like they'll make a statement and they kind of, but this to me feels like, this is a little more than this show really needs to go to. Like I get it. Like, that's why I thought the only reason I thought him leaving would be as a way to not do this. But now that he's staying, I feel like the aftermath of this is going to have to come out. And I feel like maybe that might, if there's going to be a Ted and Rebecca thing, I feel like that might lead to it. Like maybe Ted having to cover for her the same way she covered for him. And, I feel like they're going to say it was just a fling type thing. And I think like it might be like one of those moment of weakness type things. And then, because to me, like even then it's still like, because, okay, it's like woman in power goes from dating 21-year-old black player to unqualified coach that she hired.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong there if all that like comes out in the public? This is what like that's why I feel like it's after they went, because I initially when you know they showed Ted smiling at his phone, you know, after you know I initially was like, oh, they're gonna do it. Or I thought that it would be, oh, they get there and they meet and they're like, oh shit, this is like, we can't do this, and then they go on about their business. But now that it's like, I feel like now that her and Sam went all the way, I feel like her and Ted can't be on the table because there's just so many things that they would have to like write their way out of that I don't think that this show can do. Like, as much as we would like to think so, a woman in power, there's no way in hell that she would be able to there's no way in hell she would be able to get around sleeping with a player and then sleeping with her unqualified coach. Like, there's no way she would be able to get around that without it like blowing up somehow, some way.
Unless he leaves. Ted.
Yeah. And that might be his catalyst to leave.
Yeah, because so to combine both, like something both of you said, AJ, so you said Sam leaving is probably the only way that they could have worked. Once again, I think him staying is the confirmation that like this is it, like this is it for them. Like there's no longer going to be a thing. And also, D, what you said, I think it'll be a situation where Ted feels like he has to go back home, and then that's when she'll reveal, like, you know what, I just realized this entire time I felt this way about you. So yeah, I think it could be done, but yeah, like you said, well, like you both said, there'll be like a lot of threads to like clear up, but no, I still think it's an opening, and I still think the Sam thing was kind of like a misdirection, a pretty clever misdirection, because I didn't see it coming, but yeah, so
I hope it is, because I just don't like it. So I hope you're right that it's been a misdirection this whole time.
Yeah, like my biggest thing is like if she ends up dating Ted, it can't come out like that. That's my, because I just don't feel like there's a way you can neatly resolve that without compromising the writing of the show. So if her and Ted's going to be a thing, the her and Sam thing kind of has to be like dead and done by the time the season starts, and they may like have a wink and a nod at it because if there's like a wink and a nod at it when the season starts, and they just kind of going about their business, then but I just feel like, go ahead, Ryan.
I was about to say season 3 is gonna start with like Sam pulling up with like Scary Spice or something, and then
that's what I hope. I mean, that it could even be Scary Spice, but I want him to, because I think that's how they will resolve that Sam moves on to somebody else. And Rebecca's happy about it. It's not like she's like pining away for him or anything like that. It's just that they resolved whatever it is, and they understood that it's something that won't work. And then he moves on, and then she moves on. How long is it between seasons? Because I know Roy said 6 weeks he's going to take off. Is it just 6 weeks before they start?
The
Premier
League. Yeah, the Premier League season ends in May. You report to training end of July and beginning of August, like you're like on your preseason tour. So there's like little to no time in between Premier League seasons. It's crazy that it runs from August to May. So yeah, they're like, so like Roy said, like 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Okay.
How long was it before like the end of the season and like they showed Nate?
It went from
they said 2 months, right?
It went from, it was 5-3-2. It was a pyramid. What's the pyramid? 5-3-2.
Okay.
So it was like 5 days, 3 weeks, and then 2 months.
2 months. Okay.
Yeah. So they're gonna pick up like in the midst of the, well, I won't say in the midst, like at the beginning of the next season.
Okay. So yeah, that was 2 months later when Nate's gone through Rupert with the hair. 2 months.
Also, I would just like to say, I see what they don't see. D, I told you it was coming.
With
Nate. Remember when Rupert was talking to Nate at the funeral? I was like, yeah, Nate is going to be like, Rupert's going to buy a club, and Nate is going to be the manager.
He called it because I knew you were right when he gave the shit, when he agreed to sell the shares. I was like, he's not kind, he's not nice. There's an ulterior motive, of course, and that's what it was. And once you told me he was talking to Nate, I was like, oh yeah, he about to buy a club. That's easy.
Yep,
that's definitely what's about to happen.
Yep, and he bought a club right in London. West Ham United is in
Of
London
course
as
he
well. So
did.
yeah.
Of course he did. All right, so we're gonna get into Roy and Keeley now.
Yeah, so let me start off with this one. I actually don't like how they summed this up. Like Jamie was just like, "Oh yeah, I was tripping."
Me neither.
Like that one felt kind of like ham-fisted and hasty.
Yeah, like the banner thing. It was just, it happened, but we figured it out.
And it may legitimately have been that. Like Nate, I mean, what's his name? What's his name?
Jamie.
Jamie was in his feelings at the funeral, and he wanted to go back to something familiar, and that is Keeley. Because outside of people, the people that truly have cared for him, there's a short list.
Mhm.
And she's probably the closest thing that he's had to true love or affection. And it's the funeral, and you start to contemplate life and all that stuff. So I believe it was just one of those moments where he's like, yeah. Now I don't believe that it wasn't true. I think he felt those things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he wants to be in a relationship with her anymore. He was just feeling very vulnerable, and he's used to Keeley being there when he feels that way. So I'm not necessarily like mad at it, but it did feel kind of like, let's just go ahead and get this out the way.
Like for me, I'm not mad at it only because of the scene when, Roy hugs Jamie after his dad was in the locker room. Like, to me, I think that was setting up Roy realizing, like, okay, not only am I, because like when you really look at like who his niece is and who Jamie is, it's very similar, like what he's having to, except he's willing to do that for his niece. Because in the scene where he's meeting with the teacher and asks about the dad, and like, complete shit, like whatever he said about him. And I think he probably looks at Jamie and realizes the exact same shit and is like, okay, your dad's a complete piece of shit. You've never had anyone around you that cares about you for real outside of your football thing. So I think that Jamie being like, yo, like I was tripping, like my fault. I think he's looking at him through the lens of, fuck, you never had a fucking chance. So I don't want to punch your teeth in because I've seen what kind of shit dad you have. And I'm dealing with this child who has a shit father and a mother who's busy constantly. So I'm having to. So I wasn't really mad at that, only because they built the groundwork up this season of Roy begrudgingly coming around and realizing that, okay, Jamie's not a bad dude. I don't have to like him, but I can at least understand, like not a like, but an understanding of who Jamie is. I can kind of jive with that.
Almost like a grandchild.
I mean, yeah.
It's his grandchild. And I wanted to add, I watched season 1 today because I got my sister to watch it. And I honestly had forgotten how horrible Jamie was to Sam. He was very, 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 very awful to Sam. And I didn't remember it as well because I remember Sam like freaking out when he was coming back. And I was like, well, yeah, he was bad, but he was bad to everybody. But no, he was particularly awful to Sam. Like he really was. Like he stepped over him when he was injured. I'm like, oh yeah, Jamie.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he was, but like again, I like the fact that they put in effort for Jamie to get it, like for him being the first non-Nigerian to stand up and be willing to put the tape over his jersey, him being the marquee name. Like I think that said a lot for him, like genuinely trying to be like, yo, man, listen, I know I was a dick. I'm gonna at least try it here because this fucked me up just as much as it fucks the team up. When he could have been like, screw you guys, I'm not fucking up my endorsements. He was like,
and I know I'm sorry, y'all. We keep going back to Nate, but it's another example of how somebody took what Ted did for them and moved on and didn't expect to be like this protege or good buddy that had to have him under his wing all the time. Ted gave Jamie that toy and Jamie accepted it. He let him back on the team, and then Jamie did his work, his individual work to be a better person. I just don't understand what Nate wanted Ted to do. Like I think I would understand it better if I knew what Nate wanted Ted to do. Did you want him to
dote on it? He wanted him to dote on him constantly. He wanted to constantly. Yeah. He wanted constant. Again, it's that valid. He was seeking validation, and you saw it with the Twitter feed when he was.
But does he? does he do that with anybody though? And I'm just missing it.
No, I think it's zeroed in
Okay.
with Ted because like they kind of showed that his dad basically doesn't think what he does is important.
No, I'm saying
Oh,
does Ted have a
yeah.
person that he's
No. He doesn't. No,
constantly
he doesn't do that. No, he doesn't do that with
okay?
anybody.
So Nate just that's just what he needed.
Yeah,
His love language is words of affirmation and that type of thing, and he just wasn't getting that, so he took it personally.
Yeah, but going back to something like I think like another beautiful parallel was Jamie giving up the penalty kick to Danny.
Yeah.
Because
football is life.
He was so hell bent on having all the glory, and he's looking at that and realizing like I'm not the best person for this right now. So he was willing to give up the glory in that moment. Whereas, and it showed like it started last season when he gave up the glory for the win. It was showing that Ted starting to rub off on him. And now in this moment where he completely didn't have to, and no one was expecting him to, he did it of his own volition because he sat and he thought about it. And he's like, nah, man, this dude is the truth. He's the one that needs to do this. So I'm going to back up and do this because it's what's best for the team. It's what's best for him. And honestly, it's what's best for me in this moment. And I think that's why like Jamie's redemption arc, even though he was a terrible person, it worked because he started showing even last season there were signs of his growth and maturity as a person, and Ted recognizing that you did this thing that we have been asking you to do that no one on earth expected you to do, against knowing that your dad was going to come down here and berate you for it. And I think that's why Ted saw you're a good person deep down.
And especially when Roy told him there's room for the other part of your personality too. You just got to figure out how to balance. And once Jamie figured that out, he's like, oh, I can do that. I could be less of this and some of this. Then cool.
Like, I can be a cocky prick on the field, but that doesn't have to translate to my teammates. I can do it to the other team and piss them off. It's kind of like Steph Curry. Like Steph Curry has figured out a balance between the shimmying and fucking with people on court, joking with LeBron when they're up 3-0 in the finals. Like, but also everyone that plays with him being like, nah, he's the ultimate team guy. Like his teammates love it. Like it's like the Jamie thing. That was an instance of like really good writing and really good parallels for them to, like Ted Lawrence saying they had a 3-story arc and a 3-season arc. I can kind of tell because that's a perfect parallel from what Jamie did with Man U or Man U or Man City?
City.
Yeah, man. What he did with Man City in the finale last season to what he did this season, giving up the penalty kick with the promotion on the line. Like this unprecedented thing that he would have gotten all the glory for if he does it. And he willingly, no one's asking him, no one's expecting him, everyone's expecting him to take the shot. He's like, nah, man, Danny, this is you.
Especially when he was the reason they didn't get why they got relegated.
Yep.
Isn't that right? It's relegated.
Great point.
Yeah.
He was the reason why.
I was going to say
his selflessness got them relegated and promoted.
Ain't that beautiful?
He was so selfless that he gave up his penalty kick to a dog kicker and said, "Hey, I trust you, man." A dog killer, excuse me.
Daddy Rojas.
Daddy Rojas.
Football is death.
Football
also
is also life.
But also football is life.
Yeah,
but
that's how you redeem a character, though. I agree with you. That's probably one of the best redemption arcs I've ever seen.
Yeah, but like the Roy Keeley, I don't know. For me, like Roy has been so mature in this entire relationship that just to plant the seed of like, are you leaving me? Like for him to get insecure, like at the last minute, it was just kind of like, are we really doing that?
Well, I feel
we have to do that.
I think what they're going to do is what we've kind of mentioned before, because I think, Ronnie, you said they're kind of like, maybe they're like 8 years apart or whatever.
Yeah, so Roy Ken is like 36, 37, and Keeley is like 30.
Okay, so if that's the case, I think what they're really doing is instead of like planting seeds or planting insecurity into Roy, they are like letting him see that where he's on a level where he's ready to settle down, she's ready to fly. And he sees that she's beautiful up there. Like Styles said, you beautiful up there. We love you up there. Don't come down here.
Come down here.
But he likes that. He likes how she looks. He sees that she's confident and that she's owning it and that she's happy, and he wants her to fly. He doesn't want to be her anchor, but that doesn't stop him from feeling sad about it because she flies better without him. You know
So
what I
this is
mean?
the
Like,
second verse. So this is the second verse of Lost Ones by Jay.
absolutely. I don't think it's meant to be. You know?
She loves
But I
my
mean,
work
it's
more than
it's
she loves
it's
me.
it's really
And
it's really
honestly,
sad though, because he's here, he's there, he's every fucking where, but he can't be with Keeley. Like it's
now
pretty sad. Yeah.
the thing that did kind of confuse me just a little is I understand that she's just starting her firm and she's got to hit the ground running. But the fact that she didn't seem to be willing to spend any of the 6 weeks with him was kind of odd.
Yeah,
Because
that's
it was
why.
almost like, no, it's 6 weeks. No, go. No,
Yeah,
please
yeah.
go.
That for me was kind of like, really. She couldn't have said, look, I'll go do 2 weeks, but I'm gonna have to work for like nonstop. But I'll be there with you. Like, but I need to get back because I actually need to be here to hire people and do. Like, to me, that whole thing was just kind of ham-fisted. Like, there's a way. Two adults in their 30s are gonna figure that out
If they want to.
Yeah,
And that's where it is. It felt like she had no desire to have Roy around that 6 weeks. It's almost like she felt like it would be good to have a vacation from him.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I was like, are we really doing this? Because like we just had that earlier in the season when she's like, yo, I need some alone. And he
was like, who?
And he handled that beautifully. He's like, oh, you know what? You're right. I'm fucking tripping.
Mm-hmm.
But this is something bigger, because I don't know if you remember when Keeley asked Roy out, she was doing like her fake press conference in like the press room, and she was like jumping around from chair to chair. Do you remember how she introduced herself?
Independent woman.
Keeley Jones, independent woman.
Independent woman, Independent Woman magazine, Independent Sunday insert, Independent online edition. But anyway, she was always the independent woman.
Exactly. And then at the photo shoot, he was like, "You're Keeley Jones. You're the independent woman." So D, like you said, I think it's going to be a situation where like while they still like love each other, like she's clearly just not in that place, and she's just gonna take off and do her thing.
And I think it's going to be him that says, no, go. Because even just then, he was like, well, we breaking up. She's like, no. He was like, Keeley.
Yeah.
Keeley.
So you
like,
tell me
hey.
at the start of next season, Roy just going to be, so we ain't we. It's me and her. Because what she prefers over me is work.
It's work.
That's what we prefer. So I guess it'll be her. 3 times, even though it hurts, so breathe, Bobby.
It's deserved. It's deserved.
You put on this earth to be all you can be, like the reserve.
Like the reserves.
Time with the star, be reserved. So I have to allow she her time to serve.
That's what it's going to be, though. It's honestly going to be that.
Then maybe they can be they again like they were.
Maybe.
Honestly, her time's too short. So they ask her now, he lost one.
Hey,
he lost one. Yeah.
Let go to get one. Lose some, you win some. And at the end,
story of a champion.
Story of a champion.
Goddamn it, story of a champion.
But yeah, that's oh, go ahead, D.
I was gonna say, I think her the grand thing is, though, I hope they don't draw it out. Like, even if that is the case, if they move on and they go on about their business, I hope that they have their sadness, and then, like Ted said, they're goldfish, and then they go on. Because it's not going to be fun to see him sad for a whole season.
Yeah, and I also hope that they don't like turn him into like some reckless drunk.
Yeah, me too.
Because again, he's been so mature with how he's handled everything. But I get it. This is a little bit different. But my hope is that he handles it in a healthy way. But also, like, I don't want them to like force her to give up on her dreams to be with him either. Like, I don't like when they do shit like that either.
I'd really be upset about that too.
Yeah, like I'm hoping that there's a healthy, amicable solution to this, that it's not some underlying plot point of the season. And, Ted has to save Roy from his darker impulses the same way that Sharon had to save. It's like, we've seen that already. Like, let's come up with the fresher storyline and stop Ted having to come in and save everybody from it. Even though I get that's what he does, but like after what Ted has been through, I would love to see a season where Ted's a bit more like selfish.
So breathe, Ted. Please.
Hey, listen, man, I felt Ted when he sent that text. He's like, never mind, I shouldn't ask. My bad. I was like, damn, dog, I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
Because you asking, but you don't really want to know. And then you see You right. I shouldn't ask because I don't even want to know.
So yeah, I have 2 points to close on. First of all, I know like a lot of people out there don't think that Richmond will do anything next season as far as like winning a cup or even winning the league, but I strongly believe that this show is following the arc of the Leicester team that was bumped up from the championship, promoted and won the Premier League. And I think what's happening is it's a 3-story arc in particular is because we're seeing like this team just transform over this time. Beard is finally going to get through to Ted and make him realize like, okay, like that the bottom part of the pyramid is true. Like we need friendship, we need, dedication, we need all of this, but at the same time, like I think Ted is going to realize that he needs to put more work into his craft as well, and not just be like, oh, so what's offsides? I still don't know. So I basically think they're going to be like a much sharper team, and I do actually think not only are they going to win the cup, they're going to win the Premier League. Like
win the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
Also,
the fact that you say that, like they were quick to point out that they had never won a major cup. And I feel like that's the setup for that is them constantly bringing up that Richmond's never won a major cup so that they can complete the Cinderella story. But again, part of me also kind of feels like the show ain't really been about them being uber successful for real. A bunch of draws, a bunch of losses, relegation. Like, I don't know. But I would love to see. I would love to.
I would too.
Also, my second thing, like on a very personal level, I'm so glad that Jason Sudeikis finally acknowledges that he looks like Ed Helms. Did you catch the joke?
He did.
Yes,
He did. They say I look like the dude from The Hangover.
Yes.
Bradley Cooper. He's like, you really do love me.
Is there another white man that like rocks J's other than Seinfeld like Ted does?
So
Shoe game immaculate, baby.
Like Ted shoe. It's like, yo, like you look back on old episodes of Seinfeld, and Jerry had them on, like him and Will Smith and Martin was going like episode for episode with the kicks, but Ted is out here with it too.
What you say, AJ? Call him Mr. Put him on.
Like I forget what the joints is called, but the baby blue ones he had. I was like,
yeah,
baby blues.
Those are sweet.
Yeah, Ted out here.
Yeah,
he out here with it. Be dapper, be nice. We having the polo under the sweater.
Marky Mark's the other one. Marky Mark wears Jordans. He's like Team Jordan.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I mean, but he racist, so.
I mean, it ain't swag. It ain't the same swag, but I'm saying he's the other white dude.
I just meant on like TV, like that you see on TV like that.
Nah.
Like you just
I don't remember that because I remember specifically he was on an episode of Entourage. And he was like, "Y'all need anything? Want a pair of Jordans?" And I was like, "What? That's random, but okay, whatever." But yeah, so those two, like you said, those are the ones.
Yeah. So my brother pointed out. I started watching. I was like, "Damn, Jerry really did stay with a pair." Like,
hey, his name is Jerome, so I mean,
White Jerome.
Take with that what you want.
White Jerome, white Dante. Use this certain ones.
Yeah.
Do y'all have any bold predictions or any predictions for next season other than them? I think they're gonna win it all too. I'm in agreement with you on that. Only because since the beginning, you've had that theory that that's who they were following. So I not only think that you're right, I hope that you're right.
I think that the West Ham game is going to be a complete blowout on West Ham's side.
The climax.
I think that is going to be what gets through to Ted to become more focused as a coach, because I feel like they're going to get humiliated, and you're not going to have Trent Krim like in the press kind of helping you out. Like, even though he's being honest, he's being fair. And I think that might throw Ted for a loop and be like, all right, you know what? Let's end this thing and go out on a bang.
You know what, AJ? Nothing makes Ted more protective of Rebecca than Rupert. And you are absolutely right. If Rupert is if he's a reason that Rupert can get under Rebecca's skin, he gonna tighten up, because he does not like that at all. At all. Like I'm thinking back to every time she was comforted by Ted, it was always about Rupert. Almost every time.
You it was protect about those Rupert. You love.
Every time.
So, yeah.
Hey.
I mean, to be fair, his whenever he's had like a panic attack or been in, something
See?
involved in his ex-wife, she's been right there
She's
for him.
right there. And it's much they of course kind of show it, they kind of push it to the side in season 2 because of Sam, but in season 1 that tension was like it was much thicker between the two of them.
So
Between between Rebecca and Ted. It was like, because when I was watching, I was like, did I just ship them just because? But when I watched season 1 again, I was like, oh no, it's there.
It was thicker than Hannah
It's
Waddingham
there.
herself. So yeah,
It was there. And that's why Sassy was
Umar
kind of
Mean.
odd, but
Umar Mean.
yeah.
hey,
Need the bell.
Hold on.
But I think, so that's my prediction. I think Sam and Keeley, not Sam and Keeley, I think Roy and Keeley will break up. I don't even necessarily think they'll get with other people. I just think they will break up. I'm still shipping Ted and Rebecca long term.
So
in game. I am.
We just gonna assume that she's gonna be okay with the fact that Ted slept with Sassy.
Yes.
That's just
yeah.
I am, because I saw again and I didn't realize it the first one, but Sassy is newly divorced or newly single as well.
Mm-hmm.
So all three of them are just kind of.
And plus, Sassy is like everybody for everybody. So yeah,
Sassy I don't think she's gonna care. Yeah. I think Sassy would probably be more like, he's perfect for you.
To be real, I would think he'd be perfect for Sassy because.
Nah, not long term. He's perfect for her in other ways, but not like relationship wise.
Igor, please.
They have similar senses of humor, but
yeah,
they do. Yeah, they definitely do. They do. But I hope they haven't disappointed me. And even though I was a little nervous because they said season 2 was darker, I think it was the perfect amount of dark. Because the bubbly first season was needed just to kind of pull you in and be like, okay, finally, this is something that just makes you feel good. And in season 2, they did it. And even though they showed you kind of like the hardships, you already know that these people are kind of good people. So it's fine. You can just kind of see that life isn't always rainbows and butterflies. Yeah. So I think they did a great job. I hope 3. Do you think 3 is going to be back to bubbly, or are they going to kind of stick to this lane or this level?
I think my prediction would be that it's going to be more serious, because I feel like the stakes are going to be upped. Because if you're going into this thinking this is going to be your last season, you're kind of like not holding anything back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know, like if within the writing of this, they might decide like, maybe we should hold some stuff back. But to me, I would think that they would want to not hold shit back and just be like, fuck it, we're gonna go all in on this. And sorry, my Apple Watch was beeping, telling me I've doubled my salary.
No endorsements. Yeah,
D, I moved today, so I've been.
Look at you. Yeah, you got all the exercise. Do y'all think 14. Just put it on it so we can have it written in stone? We're gonna etch it in stone. Since running, like you said, they have the rights to the Premier League. Do you think it extends and they come to America?
Yep.
You do. What about you, AJ?
My only question would be, how do you deal with those Premier League rights being in America?
And that's the thing. So I hope they stick to their guns and just say, boom, season 3 is over. But this has become such a critical darling, and frankly is making Apple TV so much money on what's been a failing streaming service up until this point. They're just like, here, blank check, do whatever you want. So I think it continues somehow, whether it's Ted going to America or whether Richmond, but at the same time,
Ted coaching the U.S. men's national team.
But at the same time, like to invoke another show.
Just don't bring Landon Donovan on.
No. So to invoke another show that Bill Lawrence worked on, I feel like after season 3, we might get like Scrubs when JD and Turtcliffe, which was super uninteresting. So cut it off at season 3. Stick to your guns. That was a 3-season arc you created, and I don't want, because this team is so good. Like this creative team as a whole is so good. I don't want them to do a money motivated decision, which is extending the show beyond this life. So I don't know.
The show can't work without Ted. So you have to have you can't do this without Jason Sudeikis. Like you can't. If he's out, to me, you have to be out. Like I don't want to see Roy Kent because I feel like that's what they're gonna do. Is he's gonna leave and Roy's gonna become the manager, head coach, whatever the terminology is in football. I feel like they're setting up Roy to become the next manager of Richmond. So I don't want to see them like following Roy. Like as interesting as Roy is, he's good in bits. Like
Exactly.
him walking in a room grunting is like him having to be like the emotional oi. Like I love that. Is Roy here? Do you hear grunting?
Yeah.
Like it's like
Okay.
if you listen for it, it's like he can't be it. As much as I love Beard, Beard is better as a like him and Darius from Atlanta are like probably two of my favorite like side characters because they just pop in and just be saying the shit that needs to be said, but do it in such a great way. But even though I like the Beard focused episode, I don't want 10 episodes of that. I don't want 10 episodes focused on Beard. Like that's not what we're here for. So my hope would be they find a way. Because I feel like it would be wasting that Premier League thing if he came to the MLS. I just feel like it would.
Yeah.
And I don't know that American players are going to be as interesting as all these foreign-born dudes. Like the Dutch guy. Like all of them are so interesting. Like even though they have limited screen time. Like this is very great casting and like all these, they pick their spots so well.
It's
it actually does remind me of Pros.
Zorro. I don't understand what I'm saying. What I don't know what I'm not saying.
Yeah,
but I agree with you.
This definitely reminds me of Scrubs in that like there's a lot of talented cast people even when you don't see them often. Like Scrubs was very good at bringing people in and them picking their spots and then popping right back out. But a whole season of them just wasn't as interesting. So
cool.
But yeah, I think that's where we'll stop the show. So thanks for listening. If this is your first time watching this recap, go back and watch the rest of the recaps. But we're also recapping. I say this with a heavy heart. We're also recapping Why the Last Man. So if you want to hear us like just talk shit about that for 30 minutes to an hour, check that out as well.
Yeah, y'all are hate watching. Y'all are hate watching Why the Last Man. Like I haven't watched it, but I've been in the group chat listening to or reading them talk about it, and
it is a tough hang.
So y'all might just need to give up on it. Is there anything else coming out that y'all can
Yeah, so we're actually picking up Succession, which is like my grandma said, my stories.
Baby.
Yeah.
I was reading up on that. I think I saw you and Joshua talking about it from Club Monster. Josh's Club Monster.
Yeah. Now, if you like just mess, Succession is your thing. Like if you want just white people, rich white people doing stupid things.
Like you don't even have to know
for an hour
what they do. Like they own a media company. That's all you need to know. Don't even find out what they do, where they go, who. It doesn't matter.
I mean, y'all know me. I read everything before I watch it. So
no, that's what I'm saying. This show is so surface level that there's actually not much to read.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I was just reading some of the shit they were doing. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, yeah. Like what really did it was when you were like, yo, that poster is nasty if you know. And I was like, okay, now I have to know. Yeah. Like, and then I read, I was like, wow.
I'm talking, and D, I'm talking about Jerry and Rome, by the way.
Oh Lord.
I was like, wow. Okay.
I asked him specifically about the two of them, and Randy was like, you're never gonna figure out what's going on with Rome. Like you're never gonna guess. And he was absolutely right. And I will say too, with Succession, the first season was difficult for me because I was like, what is happening? Why do I care about these people? Whatever else. And I am not exaggerating. The last episode of season 2 made everything worth it. The whole thing. I was like, this was absolutely worth it for this moment right here.
Yeah,
so watch it.
I don't know if I'm going to jump into that because now that I've watched the Many Saints of Newark, I'm like, I've seen the Sopranos finale, but now I have to actually go back and watch because I've never watched Sopranos outside of the finale and like 2 episodes that were on A&E. And yes, I realized that watching the finale of a TV show I've never seen is completely weird, but I did that for Sopranos and Breaking Bad too. But I feel like now that I've seen the movie, Yes, Ronnie, I watched the finale of Breaking Bad because I saw motherfuckers like you talking about it on Twitter. I was like, well, let me see what the finale's about. So I watched the finale of Breaking Bad live. I do shit like that. When my brother found out, he was like, "What kind of nigga are you? Like, who does shit
Exactly.
like that?"
You built different. I don't. Yeah.
Built different.
But now that I've seen the Many Saints of Newark, I'm like, yeah. While I'm working this week, I'm gonna throw Sopranos up and watch that.
Speaking of movies, so me and some other, very smart brothers are coming together like Voltron to possibly do something interesting. I can't give you details yet, but
This is gonna be great.
but yeah, we're going to use the KWC and other various sources as a way to push this. But be on the lookout for that. It's coming very, very soon.
Just know that if they just know, and this will give you guys a clue to what it involves. But just know that if they do this live, I will be in the comments trolling faithfully because one of my favorite targets to troll will be on this. And
if you know AJ, you know who it is.
I don't know why he hasn't threatened to fade me yet. Like I said the other day on my timeline, I've recently begun reading Japanese light novels, and I'm over here enthralled with this book, and I give this man grief about reading every single day. Every time he's like, "You should read this book," nigga. I'm not reading nothing. That's not what I do. And now I'm over here reading. So
that's exciting.
This will be a very platitudinous podcast.
But yes. You mean to tell me a platypus cooked this? But yeah, we are very excited. We have content on the way. Just stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't. Check out the podcast on last week's episode, wherever you get your podcast. But yeah, until next time.
Peace.